Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you're somewhere comfortable right now. Maybe you've got the lights dimmed low, you're sinking into your favorite chair, or, maybe you're listening to this on a late night drive where the road just seems to stretch out into absolute nothingness.
Yeah, that's the perfect setting for this one.
Because tonight we are blurring the lines. We are going to that strange liminal space between where you end and where the rest of the universe begins. And honestly, it's a little spookier and significantly funnier than you might expect.
It is indeed. We're looking at a document tonight that tackles the physics of the invisible, literally the stuff dreams are made of.
Right.
But it's all grounded in this very human, very relatable annoyance that I think anyone listening has experienced at some point.
Absolutely. It's the classic, I'm trying to unlock the secrets of the universe, but the neighbors are having a party dilemma.
Exactly.
Which, frankly, is a whole vibe. We've all been there, trying to focus on something profound while the bass is just thumping through the floorboards.
Yeah, it really is. And it grounds the whole experience in a way that a lot of other mystical texts don't.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even when we are dealing with high strangeness, we are still people living in apartments with thin walls.
Exactly. So before we get into the ghostly details and the mechanics of the astral plane, let's set the ground rules. What is the source here?
Okay, so tonight we are conducting a deep dive into session 188 of the early sessions, book 4 of the Seth Material, recorded on September 15th, 1965.
1965. And for those who are new to this particular rabbit hole or just need a quick refresher, let's set the stage. This is material channeled by Jane Roberts.
Right.
She refers to herself as the medium, though Seth, the entity she speaks for, calls her Ruburt.
Yes, and her husband, Robert Butts, who Seth calls Joseph, is there transcribing everything by hand in their living room.
In Elmira, New York.
That's the setting. It's a transcription of a trance state. It's very analog. You can almost smell the pen on paper, the cigarette smoke, and hear the voice of this multidimensional entity.
And just so everyone is clear, this podcast will be distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes. We are here to learn, to explore, and maybe get a little chilled to the bone, but we aren't selling you a ticket to the astral plane.
No tickets tonight. The mission for this deep dive is specifically to unpack Seth's explanation of what dreams actually are.
Okay.
And I don't mean the psychological interpretation like, oh, you dreamt of a snake so you're afraid of change, or you lost your teeth so you're anxious.
No, not that stuff.
I mean the physics, the electricity, the literal construction of dreams.
And as we teased, how a party happening downstairs almost ruined the entire revelation.
Almost did.
So let's transport ourselves back. It's September 15th, 1965. It's about 9:00 p.m., a Wednesday night. Make the picture for us. What is the vibe in the room?
Well, the vibe is tense. It's a very specific moment in time. Jane and Rob are in their apartment, and usually this is when they would sit down for a session. It's their routine. Rob has his pen and paper ready. Jane is, pacing, getting ready to go into trance.
But there's a problem.
There is a variable tonight, a disruption in the force, so to speak.
The variable is the young couple downstairs.
Correct. The notes from Robert Butts, or Rob, they tell us that there are some young people living in the downstairs apartment.
Okay.
And Jane actually works with them during the day. She had a job outside of her writing at an art gallery.
Right, so she knows them personally.
She does. And apparently there was talk at work that morning that a group of people might be gathering downstairs that evening.
And potentially even coming up to visit them, which is like the worst kind of party, the one you might be dragged into when you're just trying to work.
It is the absolute worst.
Okay.
So imagine the anxiety.
Yeah.
You are preparing to psychologically dismantle your ego and let another personality speak through you. A process that requires immense laser-like focus, a complete surrender of the self.
And in the back of your mind, you're thinking,
is the doorbell going to ring in 5 minutes? Are we going to hear music thumping through the floorboards? Is someone going to knock and ask for ice?
it's such a funny human juxtaposition.
Yeah.
You're dealing with infinite consciousness, with the secrets of life and death, but you're just worried about social etiquette. Rob's notes actually say Jane's first thought was just to skip the session entirely.
She was annoyed, she was distracted, and that's a key part of the human element here.
Right.
We tend to think of these channeled sessions as these perfect mystical events on a mountaintop where the wind is blowing and the monks are chanting.
Sure.
But this was happening in a regular apartment with thin walls and nosy neighbors. It's gritty, it's real.
But she decides to push through it. She's a trooper.
She does. The party downstairs seemed to get underway pretty quietly. Nobody rang their doorbell by 9 p.m. So Jane decides to give it a shot. She sits down in the small back room, eyes closed.
And how does the transition happen this time? Usually it's pretty rapid, isn't it? She takes off her glasses and boom, Seth is there.
Usually, yes. But Ruburt notes that tonight, her voice was quiet. The pace was slow.
Oh.
There were long pauses. It was like a car engine trying to turn over on a cold morning.
A shaky start.
Very shaky. And when Seth comes through, he doesn't start with some greetings from the cosmos or big philosophical truth.
No. What does he do?
He goes straight for the elephant in the room.
He calls her out on the anxiety.
Immediately. He addresses the friction head on. Seth says Ruburt prepares himself in certain ways for our sessions. He forms a certain psychic and psychological framework within which we operate.
The framework.
When there is question as to whether or not a particular session will be held, it is more difficult for him to make these preparations.
Wow. Psychic and psychological framework. That sounds like more than just getting in the zone.
It does.
It sounds like architecture, like she's actually building a structure.
It implies a structure, absolutely. Seth is suggesting that Jane isn't just relaxing or, clearing her mind. She is constructing a mental architecture, almost like building a bridge or a receiving antenna that allows this communication to happen.
So it's an active process.
It's an active process.
Yeah.
And uncertainty, just the possibility of an interruption, makes that scaffolding shaky.
It's like trying to build a house of cards while someone is stomping around the room.
Yes.
Even if they don't touch the table, the vibration just messes you up. You can't balance the cards if the floor is shaking.
That is a perfect analogy, and as we'll see later, vibration and electrical charge are literal concepts Seth uses to explain why this annoyance matters.
Well, it's not just a mood.
It's physics.
Yeah.
But despite the shaky start, despite the party downstairs, Seth pivots immediately into one of the most fascinating breakdowns of dream reality we have on record.
Let's get into that. Because Jane mentioned to Rob right before the session that she had this thought, this hunch, that dreams and astral travel were connected somehow.
Yes, she did.
And Seth just picks that thread up instantly.
He does. He starts by discussing the material composition of these things.
Yeah.
He brings up the word ectoplasm.
Ectoplasm. Okay, now ectoplasm is a word that immediately makes me think of Ghostbusters. He slimed me.
Of course.
Or those old Victorian seances with cheesecloths floating around and sepia-toned photos. It feels a bit dated, or at least loaded with a lot of pop culture baggage.
It has a lot of baggage as a term, you're right. It screams 19th century spiritualism.
It really does.
But Seth is using it here very specifically to describe a kind of semi-physical matter. He says there are connections between ectoplasm and the composition of dream images. He says, quote, "They are not the same thing, but they are closely allied."
So dreams are made of stuff, real stuff.
And his progeny.
Well, that is the core takeaway. Seth argues that dream images aren't just mental flickers or, hallucinations.
Exactly.
They have form.
They have form.
He says it goes without saying that dream images certainly have form to the dreamer, even as physical objects have form. Okay, let's unpack this. If I'm dreaming of a coffee mug, usually I think of that as just a picture in my brain.
Right, like a JPEG.
Yeah, exactly, like a JPEG file on a computer screen.
Yeah.
It represents a mug, but it isn't a mug. But Seth is saying it's more like a 3D printed object in a different dimension.
That's getting closer, yes. Or maybe like a hologram that has some kind of density.
Okay.
He says these forms do not take up space in the way that physical objects do, so there is less density. But there is still observable form.
So what's matter?
It's matter, but it's operating under different laws. It's a valid construction, just not a heavy, dense, physical one like this desk.
So it's really a physics issue. It's matter, but it's diet matter, lighter matter.
Diet matter is a funny way to put it, but it's pretty accurate in this context. Seth describes the quality of this matter as having a plastic nature.
Plastic as in the material, like a credit card, or plastic as in flexible?
Flexible, malleable, plasticity.
Okay.
He says dream images are constructed more immediately and directly and spontaneously than our physical objects. Right.
Think about our physical world. To make a chair, you need wood, tools, time, and labor. There is a lag time between the idea of the chair and the reality of the chair.
You have to fight the material to make it take a shape.
Exactly. It takes effort.
Mm.
In the dream reality, the matter responds instantly to the idea. You think chair, and the form constructs itself.
So the lag time is removed?
Completely.
Yeah.
The energy converts to form immediately.
That explains why dreams morph so quickly. You know how you're dreaming about a car and then suddenly it's a boat, or the person you're talking to just changes faces?
Uh-huh.
In the physical world, that's impossible. But in this plastic reality Seth describes, that's just the nature of the material. It flows.
Exactly. The material itself is fluid. It obeys the mind, not the laws of gravity or solidity.
Yeah.
And he gets very descriptive about this material.
Yeah.
There is a quote here that I find particularly evocative and, frankly, a little visceral. He calls dream images almost fibrous projections, almost a thinned-out composition.
Fibrous projections. Wow, that gives me chills. It sounds biological.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
Like we are weaving a web out of ourselves, like a spider.
It does sound biological, and Seth insists it is connected to our biology. He says the connection between the dreamer and these images is, quote, both electrical and chemical.
So it's not magic?
It's not magic. It's an extension of our biological processes into another medium. We are, in a sense, secreting this reality.
So we're lying in bed, asleep, but electrically and chemically, we are pumping out these fibrous plastic forms that create a valid reality around us.
Yes.
We are construction workers in our sleep.
That's a great way to put it. And that brings us to what I call the Paris paradox.
Oh, I love this part.
Yeah.
This is the part that makes you question every vacation you've ever taken in your sleep.
It really blurs the line between internal and external. You see, often we ask, did I go somewhere in my dream, or was it just in my head?
Right. And we assume it's one or the other.
We treat those as mutually exclusive. Seth suggests that distinction is, well, it's basically meaningless because of how projection works.
Because the dream is the vehicle.
Think of the dream state as a gateway or a wrapper. Seth distinguishes between a standard dream image, which you create yourself out of that plastic matter we talked about, and an astral projection.
Okay.
But he says that astral projections often occur within the dream state.
So the waking personality, me, talking to you right now, might not even know the difference.
Exactly.
I might think I'm just dreaming, but I'm actually traveling.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You just think you're dreaming. But Seth says, and this is the line, the dreamer who dreams he was in Paris may well have been there.
That is the quote of the night. The dreamer who dreams he was in Paris may well have been there. So if I dream I'm eating a croissant under the Eiffel Tower, I'm not just hungry.
No.
I'm actually there.
A portion of you is there, a projection of you. Seth says it allows for manipulation back and forth between two realities.
Wow.
You are sending out a part of your personality to interact with a specific, real location.
But I don't wake up with a ticket stub in my pocket. My physical body is in bed in Ohio or wherever.
No, of course not, because your physical body remained in bed. But the projection, that fibrous, thinned-out version of you, it actually visited the location. It perceived the environment. It interacted with the energy of Paris.
This connects back to what he said about the astral body. He mentioned that the astral body also has form.
Yes, he says the astral body also has a form. The connection between what you might call materializations and the physical organism are also electrical and chemical.
He's building a unified theory here.
He is. Whether it's a ghost, which he calls a materialization, an astral body, or a dream image, they are all manifestations of energy connected to the physical self.
It grounds it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It stops it from being just a spooky ghost story and makes it sound like anatomy. Just anatomy we haven't discovered yet.
Precisely. It's the anatomy of the unseen. It's the physiology of the soul, if you will. And this leads to the analogy Seth uses to explain how we go places without our bodies.
Okay.
I call it the Elastic Man theory.
Oh, this visual is great. It's
Yeah.
also, it's kind of horrifying if you think about it too much.
A little bit.
It's very body horror if you visualize it literally.
Seth loves a good analogy, and this one is potent, he says. It is as if the personality in sleep projected out of himself bits of himself, of his own physical matter, thinned out, stretched into an amazing plasticity.
Wow.
He goes out with these portions of himself, but because of the nature of reality, projections cannot be recalled.
Stretched into an amazing plasticity. So I'm not leaving my body like a ghost floating out of a shell.
No, not like that.
I'm stretching.
Like taffy or an elastic band. You are extending your consciousness and even bits of your thinned out physical matter across space.
You're elongating your essence.
That's a great way to say it.
That explains the chemical and electrical tether he mentioned. If I'm stretched, I'm still connected. There's a line of tension back to the body. I haven't severed the link. I've just elongated it.
Exactly. And because you are stretched so thin and the form is so plastic, the waking mind, which is used to rigid, dense reality, can't really make sense of the memory.
So that's why we forget dreams.
It's why they feel so slippery when we wake up. We can't recall the projection because the data doesn't fit our waking hard drive.
File format not supported.
Exactly. Your brain just gives you an error message.
I want to pause on the atmosphere in the room while Seth is explaining this. Because remember, Jane is in a trance, and Rob notices something weird with her eyes during this specific section.
Yes. This is such a great detail. Ruburt notes that during this description of the fibrous projections and the stretching, Jane's eyes snapped open.
And he says they were very dark.
Very dark. Then they closed again. And she continued to open and close them until the break.
That adds such a visceral layer to the reading.
It does.
It's not just a lecture. The medium's body is reacting to the intensity of the information. It creates this really eerie visual of this woman in a trance, eyes flickering open, dark and unseeing, while talking about stretching the soul across the universe.
It's so chilling. Imagine sitting there scribbling notes about thinned-out matter, and suddenly your wife's eyes snap open, completely dark, looking right through you.
And all the while, you're listening for the party downstairs.
Right. The party. The tension must have been incredible.
Speaking of tension, they take a break, right? Jane snaps out of it for a bit.
They take a break at 9:25 p.m., and Jane reports feeling weird.
Just weird.
She says she was dissociated, which is normal for her after a session, but she felt annoyed and distracted.
The fear of the interruption is still haunting her.
It is. Rob notes that they actually heard nothing. The party was quiet, but Jane was aware of the material being good, yet couldn't shake the annoyance.
And she was hyper-aware of everything.
Yeah, even of Rob's movements. They had to open a window because the room felt close.
Which, of course, let in traffic noise. So now you have the threat of a party, plus actual street noise coming in from outside. The sensory environment is just degrading.
It is.
But they go back in. They are dedicated to 9:36 p.m. Jane goes back under.
Yeah.
And this is where Seth drops the bomb about the 24-hour dream.
This is a radical concept. This one really changes how you view your daily life. Seth states plainly, dreams are a continuous process. You create them both waking and sleeping, although you are not aware of them in the waking state.
Wait a second. So right now, as I'm talking to you and as our listener is listening to this, we are dreaming.
We are running a dream track in the background. That's what he's saying.
Oh my God.
Seth says, you constantly project and constantly emit energy in meaningful patterns on as many layers of activity as possible.
It's like a computer operating system. I might be typing in a Word document. That's my waking reality.
Right.
But in the background, there are 10 other programs running, downloading updates, processing data, scanning for viruses.
That is the perfect analogy. And Seth argues that these background realities, these continuous dreams, are quite legitimate realities.
Not just noise.
They continue to exist even when you aren't paying attention to them. They are worlds you are maintaining in the background.
So we are multitasking on a cosmic level.
We are. And we partake of their energy. We are constantly drawing from these background realities to fuel our waking life. We just don't notice it because our focus is so locked onto the physical world, the same way you don't stare at your computer's cooling fan, but you absolutely rely on it.
And he gives a specific example of why we do this. It's not just random noise. It's functional.
Right, it's problem solving.
This is the practical magic aspect of the session.
Yes. Seth says, oftentimes you send out dream images within a dream framework from your own nerve centers. These then work out problems for you, and the answer is given to you subconsciously.
He calls it search party logic.
Yeah.
So if I have a problem, maybe I can't figure out how to fix my car, or I'm stuck on a creative project, or I don't know how to handle a difficult conversation. Seth is saying, I literally send out a nerve center projection, a little scout made of dream matter, to go figure it out for me.
That's the implication. The projection runs the simulation, it finds the solution, it tests the scenarios, and then it transmits the data back to the main personality.
That explains those aha moments, when you wake up and suddenly the solution is just there. You didn't actively think about it. It just arrived, fully formed.
Exactly. You delegated the task to a dream projection while you slept, or even while you were awake, running in that background process. You outsourced the thinking to a different part of yourself.
It creates such a dynamic view of the self. We aren't just one static person walking through the world. We are this hub sending out scouts and projections and fibrous webs constantly.
We are a swarm of consciousness, masquerading as a single individual.
Oh, I like that.
We are a hive mind of one.
A swarm of consciousness. But the swarm ran into a wall that night.
Wall of annoyance, the swarm got swatted.
Let's talk about the end of the session, because it ends so abruptly.
It does. Jane takes a massive pause, and Rob, he times it. 2 full minutes of silence. She's just sitting there, head down, hand to her face.
That's an eternity in radio time, and I assume an eternity in a seance room.
A very long time. And Seth comes back with a very succinct conclusion. He says, because Ruburt is not at his best, I am going to close our session. The reality and the framework within which these sessions exist have electrical and chemical organizations also that require a delicate focus that was upset this evening.
He's pulling the plug. He's just calling it.
He is. But notice he doesn't blame the party. He blames the reaction to the party.
This is the physics of annoyance we mentioned in the intro.
This is it. Seth gives us a formula here. He says distractions, or fear of distractions, have their own reality and set up strongly positive electrical charges, which can be detrimental.
Strongly positive electrical charges.
Okay.
So annoyance isn't just a mood. It's static. It's voltage.
It's a blockage. It's actual physical interference.
Yeah.
In the context of channeling, or perhaps any deep creative flow state, that emotional state creates an electrical resistance.
It jams the signal.
It jams the signal.
Yeah.
Seth mentions that chemical and electrical conditions must be considered.
It really redefines what it means to be bothered by something.
It does.
If you're trying to do high-level work, whether it's channeling Seth or just writing a script, and you're worried about the phone ringing, you are literally creating electrical charges that mess up your brain chemistry.
Yes.
You are electrocuting your own focus.
It validates the need for a sanctuary, for, a quiet space. You can't just power through everything. Sometimes the physics of the environment and your internal reaction to it make the work impossible.
You have to respect the instrument.
Exactly. And Rob confirms the sensitivity in his notes at the end of the session.
Right. After Seth says goodnight, very politely, I might add, Jane snaps out of it. But she's still bothered. The traffic noise is getting to her.
And she tells Rob something incredible.
She could hear his pen.
She said she was conscious of the sound his pen made on the paper.
Wow.
Now, Rob points out he writes on a thick pad of paper specifically to dampen the sound, and he uses a ballpoint pen to avoid scratching. It should be virtually silent.
But she heard it like it was amplified.
Rob surmises she must have, and this is his phrase, super acuity in the trance state. Her senses were dialed up to 11.
Which makes the fear of the party make so much more sense.
Of course.
If a silent ballpoint pen sounds like a jackhammer to you, imagine what a laugh or a dropped glass downstairs would feel like.
It would be an explosion in her nervous system. No wonder the electrical charges were off. She was basically a raw nerve.
So we have this session that gives us this incredible glimpse into the mechanics of dreams, but also a glimpse into the fragility of the human instrument trying to receive them.
It's a beautiful contradiction.
It is.
We are powerful enough to project ourselves to Paris in our sleep, but fragile enough that a ballpoint pen can derail our connection to the universe.
Okay, let's try to synthesize this for the listener. We've covered a lot of ground, or astral ground, I guess.
Let's recap the big takeaways.
Number 1, dreams are not just pictures. They are plastic, fibrous projections of thinned-out matter. They are real things.
Correct. They have form and density, just, less than physical objects.
Number 2, the Paris paradox. When we dream of a place, we might actually be projecting a part of ourselves there. We are stretching our consciousness and our chemical energy across space.
And we can't remember it well because the data doesn't fit our waking mind's formatting. File not supported.
Exactly. Number 3, the 24-hour dream. We are dreaming right now. It's a background process running constantly, solving problems and exploring realities while we focus on paying taxes and driving cars.
And finally, the lesson of the party. Our internal state fear, annoyance, distraction creates real electrical barriers. We have to respect the delicate focus required to access these deeper layers.
It really makes you think about how you treat your own downtime. If you're stressed about work while trying to sleep, you're basically jamming your own signal. You're stopping those search parties from going out and solving your problem.
You are creating static where there should be clear transmission.
This brings us to the end of the session, but I want to leave the listener with a thought, a little provocation to carry into your next sleep cycle.
Go on.
If Seth is right, And we are constantly emitting these fibrous projections, stretching bits of ourselves out into the world to test realities and solve problems.
Okay.
Then look around the room you're in right now. How much of the atmosphere of this room is actually just leftover webbing from your own daydreams?
And deeper still, if everyone else is doing it too, are we ever truly alone in a room?
Oh,
Or are we walking through a crowded marketplace of invisible plastic projections from everyone we know, from our families or coworkers?
wow, that is a lingering thought. Walking through the cobwebs of other people's daydreams.
Yeah.
Just pushing through the invisible ectoplasm of your roommate's anxiety about their deadline.
It changes the way you look at empty space, doesn't it? It's never really empty.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
If you want to explore these concepts directly, and I highly, highly recommend you do, because reading Seth is a unique experience,
Yeah.
you need to go to the source.
Absolutely. You can find these books and go deeper into the material by visiting the publisher New Awareness Network. Their website and bookstore is at sethcenter.com/Lee Early Sessions.
And this deep dive analyzed session 188 of the Early Sessions Book 4 of the Seth Material. All concepts discussed are credited to the Seth Material and New Awareness Network.
It's a rabbit hole worth falling down, I promise you that.
Thank you for taking the dive with us tonight. Try to keep your electrical charges positive. Try not to let the party downstairs bother you too much.
Good advice.
And we'll see you next time.
Or perhaps we'll see you in the Astral.
Sweet dreams, everyone.